So with Aiemann Zahabi, Aiemann, it was a long layoff before the last one, but you got in there. I mean, are we going to see you again this year, perhaps? Are you going to try to keep active here a little more?
Yeah, of course. I've been trying to get a fight since the last one in May. I had heard, because for us, he goes to events often cornering other guys and stuff like that. And, there was nothing official, but there was something like, okay, try to have Aiemann ready for September-ish. So they didn't say September, but it said September-ish back in July. So I've been getting ready, I was hoping for it to be September. Now I'm assuming maybe it's going to be October, November, or sometime before the year end, Like I don't know how way off September-ish, how long of a range September-ish is, but I'm assuming it'd be before January.
Yeah, you would think that Vancouver would have been kind of a natural fit for you to fight on, right? But they didn't call for that.
When they said September-ish, that's what I thought. I'm sure that's what they had in mind too, but maybe it didn't work out, and maybe some people got injured and they had to put people in ahead of me or whatever, and that's just the fight game, you got to wait your turn, and I'm just waiting to get back in there, but hopefully before the end of the year.
Yeah, is it frustrating though? Because I mean, I know the long layoff maybe it wasn't entirely your call, or you were injured and stuff, right? Too. Yeah. But now you're ready to fight. You're seemingly healthy, and you just can't get a fight.
Well, the long layoff was like a couple of things for sure. One is, obviously I suffered a concussion in Madison Square Garden when I fought Ramos, and so there was a period there where I had to take some time to make sure I followed the steps of recovery, so that my brain doesn't take too much damage. You hear all about the CTE and stuff. But then after, when they did call me for a last-minute replacement in July of that last past year, my daughters were just born and had twins, and it was 3 weeks later of the fight. So my brother said, might as well not take it because you're going to be stressed out with the kids or whatever. So I said no. Then another one was like 2 weeks short notice, and it was going to be hard for me to make the weight and get everything together for that last minute. So we pushed it off. But now I'm ready for when they call me, I'm ready. So I'm really excited to get called soon.
Yeah, so what's your mentality right now? Obviously, you start your career undefeated and then suffer a couple losses. How are you digesting that? How are you kind of using that to push forward and get better?
Yeah, no, of course. Losing is nothing like winning. It's obviously the opposite. But I do kind of take the two losses mostly. I take them mostly as my fault. Not to say that my opponents didn't do anything. Obviously, they did what they had to do. But I think it's like a 50-50 split. 50% Ramos for throwing the elbow. Of course, if he didn't throw it, I probably wouldn't have gone down. He surprised me. And I think the other 50% of that fight was, I was so sure he couldn't hurt me, because the first 2 rounds, I feel like whatever shot or punch or kick he threw, I took it no problem. So I was round 3, I was like, he's dead. If you check out round 3, as soon as that bell rung, I stepped in. I kept stepping in, engaging, and I thought I had his number, and I really felt like it feels some kind of energy between you and your opponent. I really felt like my energy was taking over and the momentum was on my side until boom, he surprised me with that elbow. And I feel like if I was, I don't want to say being too cautious, because the fight after, I went completely the opposite with it. Whereas I was like, be a little bit more cautious. Don't get caught with anything stupid. Don't get caught with anything. And then I never got going. So fight's over, yeah. And not to take anything away from. I'm sorry, mine is slipping me right now. My last opponent's name.
I can't recall his name, but
yeah, not to insult him though. I'm just so focused on the Ramos fight. The Ramos fight really hurt me, But my last opponent, I felt like, yeah, he was fighting his fight. He's more of a boxer, and I knew he had a lot of power in his right hand, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't get caught with anything stupid, and I never got going. I never really got going. And if you see his fight right after me, he took a short notice fight. He replaced someone, and I thought he won that fight. He dropped the guy in round 1, and in round 3 he really gave it his best, and he got robbed in that fight. And it's like, the guy was a good fighter. He's a good boxer. I'm not taking any of that stuff away from him, but I feel like I was too tentative in my last fight. So the fight before, I went too crazy in round 3, and in my last fight I was too tentative.
It's about finding that happy medium. I guess.
That balance, and. It's a lot, I think, more mental than it is about skill set, because I've been training my whole life. So I don't feel like it's a lot of deficiency in skill. I think it's more like, a little bit of ring time, a little bit of, being in a war, coming out of it, and, gauging when in a fight I should really pick up the tempo, when I should, be patient. Okay, there's something coming. When I have to be able to still see his skill work and manage the energy and the momentum of the fight, So it's just a learning experience. And I really feel like, not because I've swung too far to try to kill someone and too hard on being passive, hopefully the next one will be the perfect combination. I'll get that finish I've been looking for.
Yeah, definitely. So is this the last fight on your contract? I assume when you came in it was a 4-fight deal. So what kind of pressure do you put on yourself going into that one? Because I assume you don't want to drop a 3rd straight, and then you want to put on a performance that'll get you a better deal going forward.
I'm not too worried about it because it's my last fight on the contract. Because like, you know, everything that happens in the UFC, if you perform well, they love it. You know, so regardless of it being my last fight, I feel like if I go out there and me and my next opponent, we give a fight of the night. We really fight super hard, and I lose my third fight in a row. But like maybe I could have won a decision. Like maybe it's close, but we went on all-out war. Maybe they'll love me. They'll sign me again. You know. But I'm really hoping to win, and I don't want to win in a way that they fire me anyway. So like I'm not trying to win. My whole career, I've never been trying to just win a decision. Maybe in my last fight, I was being a little extra cautious. But training for the fight, I wanted to finish it. But in there, I was like, okay, he's got a crazy right hand. He's got a very hard right hand. Like when I was blocking the shots, I can feel the impact of his right hand. So I was like, okay, don't get caught with it. And I focused too much on not getting hit instead of putting on my game plan, like my finishing strategy for the fight. So now I do not want to make that same mistake again. That fight actually burned me a lot emotionally because I feel like when the fight was over, I only gave like 60% of my effort. I didn't give 100% of my effort. And then that hurt my feelings more than with Ramos. And round 3, I gave everything I had. I got knocked out. But at least I showed everybody that I went in there to finish the fight, you know. And this fight, I kind of didn't give that energy, and it hurts to lose more that you didn't give everything than if you give everything and you get caught, you know.
So I guess just right now, you're training, you're here, and you're basically just waiting for the call, and you don't really care who it is, I assume, in terms of opponent, or is there anyone you want to fight?
No, nobody in particular. Like for me, it's I would love to fight. I just want to fight. I just want to get in there and fight, and I want to show my skill set. Like I said, like I'm never too worried about the opponent themselves, you know, because they're gonna have what they're good at. That's for sure. And I can beat any of them, and they can beat me, you know. But like, who's gonna be there that night? You know, George said it best. It's not the better fighter that wins. The guy who fights the best that night, you know. So I really want to fight the best in my next fight, and you know, I would love to put on such a performance. That's my goal, is to put on such a performance. No matter what happens, the UFC wants me in the company, you know. And that's the dream, you know. Fighting for the UFC, it's the #1 brand. So like, I'm looking to put a performance, and that's what we've really been working on.